Alrighty, we are on the air, guys. Welcome everybody to another episode of Every 2 Weeks. We're actually doing it in 2 weeks this time. It's kind of rare. Matthew is back, so is Sagar. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Pretty doing well. Doing well.
Sorry, I asked both of you, and that's a faux pas in the podcasting business. Sagar, how are you, sir?
Pretty good. Good to be back. It's kind of rainy day out here in Columbus, but things are moving.
I like it. And Matthew, how are things?
Oh, fantastic! A wonderful 37 degrees.
Wow!
And I'm loving it.
Now, what's that temperature to real people?
You're talking about 37 degrees real people, because about 70% of the world's population works on Celsius, whereas the United States still works on Fahrenheit. So I'd probably say it's about 80-something degrees.
Okay. All right. I mean, yes, 70% of the world, but that doesn't make it right. I need to get the eagle cry wave sound so that I can just make the little eagle sound. Anyway. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. What we're gonna talk about today is Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, yes, and then also we're gonna peel into a little bit of socialism. That's kind of what I figure we'd dive into, because last week we looked at Donald J. Trump and his or the Drumpf, as John Oliver wants him to be known as. He's been in the news. It's been cluttered with more and more. He's won more and more, and he's doing better. Ted Cruz is coming up a little bit, but Rubio's still in the background, and Kasich is, well, he's Kasich. And then, hey, come on.
Hey.
So again, last week was Donald Trump, and this week, as much as Hillary in the polls, right? Today is March 13th, so we're at the point now where. A lot of the primaries are coming in. I think almost half are in, and this month there's going to be a few more, but they're kind of almost locked in at this point. I can't say that it's permanent, but Bernie Sanders sadly is lower in the polls than Hillary, and it does look like she's going to get it, especially with superdelegates. He's pretty much not even close. But I wanted to bring in him because of his socialist stance. And I should say social democrat stance, not social democracy. I don't know. It's all crazy, and we're gonna find out a little bit more about that. So, gentlemen, if you're ready, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play a quick clip from Bernie Sanders on his one of his CNN debates. Just kind of, he says a few things that I'm gonna stop it. It's long, but I'm gonna stop it after a little bit, just so we can get a sense of who Bernie is. And then I'm going to play a couple other clips, just because I have clips now, and I'm amazed, and I'm very happy about it.
Nice.
We can actually start off with, just for some levity, if you'd like, how about a little bit of Donald Trump?
I will be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. I tell you that.
Oh, my God, he spoke about God. Oh, my God, he spoke about God. Run out of town.
No, it wasn't the God, but there's more.
Obama is going to be out playing golf. He might even be on one of my courses. I would invite him. I actually would say. I have the best courses in the world, so I'd say, you know what, if he wants to, I have one right next to the White House, right on the Potomac. If he'd like to play, that's fine. In fact, I'd love him to leave early and play. That would be a very good thing. Hey, I'm not saying they're stupid. I like China. I just sold an apartment for $15 million to somebody from China.
Classic Trump. All right. So here's Bernie Sanders, though. That was just some fun. And then here comes some Bernie Sanders, which you're going to notice right away that Bernie Sanders is much more serious. And I think that's something that Trump is missing greatly. And you'll also notice that he is a politician of the highest order. Started out as a mayor and then worked his way up, and by the way, out of Vermont. So not really not that Hillary coming out of Arkansas is any different, but he did come up from the ranks and became a senator, and he's always pushed to be what he is. So let's listen a little bit to Bernie Sanders from the CNN debate a few weeks ago.
not what caused the problem last time, but what could cause it next
Senator
time.
Sanders, Secretary Clinton just said that her policy is tougher than yours.
Well, that's not true.
Why?
Let us be clear that the greed and recklessness and illegal behavior of Wall Street, where fraud is a business model, helped to destroy this economy and the lives of millions of people. Check the record. In the 1990s, and in all due respect, in the 1990s, when I had the Republican leadership and Wall Street spending billions of dollars in lobbying, when the Clinton administration, when Alan Greenspan said what a great idea it would be to allow these huge banks to merge, Bernie Sanders fought them and helped lead the opposition to deregulation. Today, it is my view that when you have the three largest banks in America are much bigger than they were when we bailed them out for being too big to fail, break them up.
Secretary Clinton, you have to be able to respond to what...
So that's Bernie Sanders. And you know, there's other things where he talks about his platform. So Bernie Sanders' platform, I think that it has some really good things to it. I think that, like with all of the candidates, it's 80% I hate, and then 20% of it I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. Mainly with him, when just talking about Bernie Sanders right now, and then we'll dive into the socialism part. I want to talk about one thing about Bernie that is he from the beginning has always said this: campaign reform must be number one on everyone's ticket, because if the people with all the money are able to buy all of the votes and buy all of the candidates, we have a problem. We no longer have a democracy. And he rails against the top 1%, but what I want to talk about right now is money running campaigns. Matthew, do you think that this should be a major question for us? Is it something that we keep on dropping, or is it something that it should stay dead, or should we actually go out and talk about things like term limits and campaign reform in a serious manner and really get it done this time?
Absolutely, 100%. The campaign reform needs to be done, and also term limits. You can't have a government that is bought, and that's what we have. And that's one of the reasons why I like Bernie Sanders, is because he's sticking to his guns, and he's saying what is wrong with the way they do government. The way we're governing ourselves is ridiculous. And I can't see how either a Democrat or a Republican can sit there and say that they're going to do the best for us when their pockets are being lined by major corporations. So the first thing that I would do is set term limits and completely reform the entire way they campaign.
Agreed. And let me see if I can find it. I should have brought it up before that. But Sagar, why don't you talk about it and what your thoughts are, and then what I'll do is I will actually get up his stance.
But Bernie, great guy. He doesn't have a chance, but I mean, if he might have a chance against Trump, but not against Hillary. So that's kind of dicey situation right there. But the election reforms or campaigning reforms, it's in our DNA, if you wish, that we have to find fault with something. So if we have nothing, then we look at, that process is broken. The process is not broken. It just needs improvement, and that's where Bernie's like, we got to do this. The process is not broken. There are several other ways to fix it. That's one of his opinion, if you wish, that we need to have these things.
Saga, may I interrupt just real quick?
Sure.
How is it not broke?
See, I need money to put an ad, whether it's on YouTube or internet, or put the flashboard on, or I need money. So who's gonna get me more money quick? Those who have more means, right? So it's not like rich people are controlling it, but they are contributing, and they are making an effort to see things happen which would be more advantageous to their own business or whatever they do in life. Now,
Yeah, that's right. So you'd have somebody who has $1 million give to the Democratic Party, $100,000, whereas someone like me who makes say $50,000 a year and can only give about $100. Which person do you think they're actually going to placate to? Who are they going to placate to? And that's what's happening. That's what's happening right now. You have billionaires who are lining the pockets of our government just so that they can stay in power, and to the point where they're saying and doing everything they possibly can for us to give our $100, and hopefully we'll vote for them, and then in turn not really doing what we want them to do, but what the person who gave them $100,000 wants them to do. I mean, that to me, that is broken, and that is.
Agreed. Like when the Republican or even Democratic race began, probably not in Iowa, but where was the second one?
Ohio?
There were 30 people on the list who wanted to run for it. 30 people on the list. How many survived? Only barely 3 here and 2 there. So what I'm saying is, people need money to campaign. People need money to make it happen. So if someone can donate more, obviously they are going to do it. So I don't see anything wrong with it. It just.
But does that make it right? It's the same thing with healthcare. So if you sit there and say that, I have enough money to pay for health care, but this person behind me doesn't have enough money, so who's going to get, the better treatment?
Right.
That doesn't level out the playing field, and that's exactly what the Democrats want to do, is level out the playing field.
And it is the same thing. Then you take this and apply it to the tax. Why are we against rich few to tax them more and not level the playing field? Like everybody pays 15%.
All right, so that's changing subjects. But let me hold on one second. So let me interrupt. So Bernie Sanders, to his position, just so we can talk about that, because I think we started to change subject. He wants to make it that the pass constitutional amendments to make it clear that Congress and the states have the power to regulate money in elections. He wants to get make sure that publicly financed, transparent system of campaign financing that amplifies small donations, kind of to Sagar's point, and insists on transparency regarding the funding of campaigns, including those disclosure of contributions to outside spending groups via legislation action, blah, 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 fight against super PACs, and work aggressively to enforce campaign rules. And also, I think he's got in here, I don't think he has in here term limits, but in my opinion, the biggest thing is term limits, especially with senators and congressmen. So
he also has that gun thing on there, or he doesn't.
Does he have a gun thing? Let's. I believe he does have a.
That's the only reason I'm supporting him.
All right. He also wants to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, I think. Fight climate change. He has, he wants to do things like free college for all people and free health care for all people. He's fighting for those, and these are all social democrat views that basically countries that have already enacted these type of policies, they are the ones that will, they're a shining example, and how it all works. And and one of those is actually that economic security. This is a quote from Bernie Sanders during one of his speeches in Georgetown.
Real freedom must include economic security. That was Roosevelt's vision 70 years ago. It is my vision today. It is a vision that we have not yet achieved, and it is time that we did.
So he's talking about there when he's talking about economic security, he's talking about what I just mentioned. He's talking about healthcare. He's talking about college. He's talking about other social programs. He mentions Roosevelt, and he mentions LBJ and Social Security and all the other social programs that have come along, and how, you know, if we have stability on these other factors in our lives, then the economy will grow. And that's kind of his stance. And you know, War and Peace, you know, he has, of course, some good stuff there. But I think that and I don't mean to shortchange Bernie, but I think this is gonna bring us into what we're looking at, and that is the socialism aspect of this. Because I don't know if anybody listening to the show wants to know more about Bernie Sanders. Definitely check out BernieSanders.com. You'll find more about it.
I think Matthew already mentioned in the last episode, Americans are lazy. And if we have economic security, it's going to make us lazier.
Well, now, it's funny you should say that, Sagar, because that allows me to play another clip. Let me. And this is Christopher Hitchens, the late Christopher Hitchens, an intellectual, foreign correspondent, and intellectual who said this.
There is among a lot of Americans, including those who don't have any property and don't have any security of employment or income, there is a powerful resistance to state influence. It comes, I think, partly from the frontier. It comes in part from a sort of Calvinism that's quite strong among old pioneers. That's been handed down. It comes also, of course, as a legacy of the Civil War. But there are many people who would say, if you let me keep my gun and you stay out of my church, I don't want any more help from you, thanks. I'd rather live as if the government wasn't there. That's the point of being an American. I don't want to hear from Washington. It's my right to live in this part of Kansas unmolested. This is paradoxically very beautifully expressed by a Tea Party rally, a placard that I'm sure some of you saw recently, saying, keep the government's cotton-picking hands off my Medicare.
So what's funny about that statement is, and that Chris Hitchens mentions the fact that Americans don't want big government, right? They, you know, since the frontier, they're like, no, I've got my land, I've got my gun, I've got my church, stay away from me. And then you have the modern day where the person says, get your hands off my Medicare, not realizing that Medicare is one of those things where the government took some of your money and is giving it to other people. And that is honestly socialism at its lowest levels. That really is what socialism is. But and let me bring up the definition of socialism just so everyone knows what we're talking about here. So socialism is a political and economic theory of social organization that advocates that the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community, i.e. government, as a whole. Right? So, for instance, Social Security. That's money is taken from your paycheck, placed into a large coffer, maintained by bureaucrats, and when you come of age or you have a malady that makes you not be able to work, you are given money, the money to live, so that way you don't have to work as hard or at all in your either your golden years, or if you have a problem that doesn't allow you to work. So, but everyone gets this money taken out, and everyone is guaranteed this money when they have such a situation. So that's one of the social programs that we have here. But let's start this conversation off with Sagar. What are your thoughts on, we just looked at Bernie Sanders, and what do you think of socialism in general? Just right off the top of your head, nothing big. What do you think about socialism?
I like socialism, but only in few cases. So I'm not like, apply it all over the places. But, if healthcare, I agree, we need to apply it there. Because, I believe everyone should have right healthcare, and but that is the only area where I see all the other places. I'm like, work your ass off and get there. That just don't depend on government or other people to help you out. That's my view.
Okay. And Matthew, from your standpoint, socialism, good or bad?
Well, it's hard to say if socialism is good or bad because you actually have to understand the history of when it began and what its main goal was. If you understand that, then that's great. You understand that the French Revolution started it. It was meant to be everyone has a say. It was supposed to be a true democracy, and as we know, true democracies they implode because of just the majority will always kick out the minority. And when you look at socialism as far as Russia or the former Soviet Union, it imploded mainly because what it was trying to do was create everyone on the same playing field, and instead of having the kings and nobles owning the land, you had the government owning the land. It's the same thing with capitalism. You have, instead of the kings and nobles owning the land, you have the rich majority controlling everything. So socialism is just another Band-Aid in my eyes, in the true sense of getting everyone on an equal footing. You can't get everyone on equal footing. Everyone is completely different, from right down to their DNA and the way they think. I mean, everyone who's ever tried to order a pizza with 12 people know that it's almost impossible to make everyone happy. So you can't do it. So people have to compromise and understand that other people can't eat this or whatever. So socialism is basically bad. Any kind of socialism that you have is just bad. It won't work. You can't have it because people in nature, if they don't have to work or don't have the drive to work, then they won't do it. So my understanding of socialism and the way that we have to be careful as well, because a lot of people are saying, I was watching a video where this guy said that the Constitution of the United States is basically a socialist program where everyone gets a chance or an idea that everyone has a voice, when that's not what socialism is all about. Socialism, I think, is a true representation of democracy where everyone has a say in what is done. So like my next door neighbor has a lawnmower and I don't. I have every right to go over there and take his lawnmower and use it to mow my lawn and not replace the gas because I don't have any money for gas. So socialism is not the way to go for any situation.
All right. Now listen, here's Bernie's stance on the ruling class, right? So that was one of the Matthew made a good point about the ruling class.
In my view, the billionaire class must be told loudly and clearly that they cannot have it all, that our government belongs to all of us, not just a handful of billionaires.
Right, so there you have where the ruling, his belief and many people's belief, especially looking at the 1%, the 99%ers that we had back in 2008 when the stuff started to collapse here in the U.S. and the banks were the ones who needed to get bailed out and the large companies were the ones that needed to get bailed out. That was part of it, and Bernie Sanders, going from a social democratic standpoint, wants to change that.
We need to create a culture, an entire culture, which, as Pope Francis has reminded us, cannot just be based on the worship of money. We must not accept a nation in which billionaires compete as to the size of their super yachts while children in America go hungry, and veterans, men and women who have put their lives on the line to defend us, sleep out on the streets.
So, in Bernie's campaign material, again talking about socialism and income and wealth inequality, right? One of his statements, one of his issue titles. And the quote in that is, "This campaign is sending a message to the billionaire class: you can't have it all. You can't get huge tax breaks while children in this country go hungry. You can't continue sending our jobs to China while millions are looking for work. You can't hide your profits in the Cayman Islands and other tax havens while there are massive unmet needs on every corner of this nation. Your greed has got to end. You cannot take advantage of all the benefits of America if you refuse to accept your responsibilities as Americans." There you go, right? So my problem here is that socialism from this standpoint, where you take from other people because they have more, or you tax them more just because they have more money. Now listen, I'm not made of money. I don't have money coming out my wazoo. I haven't come up with a great idea. I'm not Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg. Is it Burger or I don't know. I'm not Bill Gates, right? I'm not I'm not even Ben Affleck, right? I'm not a good-looking guy on camera and who lucked out early in life and made some good breaks and had some good ideas, right? But also
10 pounds less and you're there, man.
Yeah, thanks. so I don't have a lot of money. Let's just put it that way. But I'm also not poor either. So
yeah, okay, real quick.
Right.
The question is, though, do you want that? Do you want to have enough money to buy a yacht? Do you want to have the responsibility of running a corporation and have a private jet and have all this stuff? Now, I don't think the American people really want that kind of responsibility. Most people don't.
Well, no,
I'm sorry. Are you getting to that? Because I think the majority of people don't really want that. So.
Right. Well, what I want to get to is, first of all, is the fact that, again, I'm not super rich or super poor, right? But yet I'm one of those people that doesn't think that taxing the rich more than the poor or the working class, middle class, or the regular rich. Yes, it breaks it down that way. When you do the numbers, right? And I've done the numbers a couple times, and I'm no economic engineer, tax guy, but when I broke down how the country is laid out and its population, and then I did some calculations. If you were to go with the current plan and/or a plan like Donald Trump's, they all call for the rich to be taxed, sometimes double what other people are taxed. And I think that that's wrong, and I think that that's socialism in another sense. That it's saying that, because you've succeeded here, you owe more to your country, right? And I think that's more of a feeling than a reality, because they're using the same roads and police and fire that we all are, and they're using the same military to protect our country, right? So they're no different than you or me, or you, because there's three of us. But that's part of socialism that I don't get. The whole Robin Hood mentality of income equality and what do they call it? Redistribution of wealth, which makes me throw up in my mouth a little bit. Because how can you redistribute wealth? Wealth is created by human ingenuity. Yes, there is some nepotism. Yes, there is some good old boy network to it, where even a stupid person, maybe Trump, has a lot of money, right? But the other thing is, you can't take it with you, right? And they're going to spend their money, which is going to go back into the economy. They're going to buy their jets and yachts that we all can't afford, but then they're going to buy fuel, and they're going to pay for the service guy to service their boat, right? So they're actually making jobs just doing what they do. They're also making jobs by being who they are in their work, where they actually hire people to do more things at their company. So that's part of my argument. But Matthew, why don't you go ahead on where you were going, which is kind of where I was going.
Okay. It's socialism is bad. Okay, it's just that's all there is to it. It doesn't work. It does not work because it's to me, it looks like a true democracy. So it doesn't work. You can't make somebody do something and then have them not resent it. As far as our economy goes and what's been going on in the United States, they've been printing money and taking and just basically pulling money out of thin air to the point where the super rich are just the ones collecting it. And it gets to a point, unfortunately, that when you have so much money, it doesn't matter what you do, you will never run out of money. It doesn't matter what you do. The way the system is worked now is that if you have $1 billion, you will never, ever be poor. And your children won't ever be poor. Because there will be certain, places where they won't even know where the money is, but it's still coming into their pockets. That's the problem that we have. You don't have a stable market where money is connected to anything. So, a lot of people don't even realize how the Federal Reserve works. They literally make money off of debt, and that's the way it's done. But at the same time, they make money so that they can loan the money so they can make money. And when you do that, the money starts to accumulate at an exponential rate because so many, and that's what's happened in the 90s and the 80s and the 2000s. People are borrowing money to the point where it's just flooded the market with money, and the value that the U.S. dollar has ballooned to the point where people won't even realize it. And the ones in charge, like the Federal Reserve, are doing everything in their power to maintain the idea of what the money is worth. If we truly knew how much the U.S. dollar was worth, it would be, I believe, it'd be worse than the 1930s in Germany, where people were basically just burning it. But because it's in the computers, people don't actually see it. They don't actually see the fact that the money itself is just super inflated to the point where you have these you have these 1%ers who are basically making money after money after money after money after money. And that is why the way they're collecting the money, you can only do so much with it. Yes, he's going to go ahead and purchase a company, or this person is going to go ahead and do this, or have their yacht and have 10 people working on the yacht, creating an income and all that stuff. But it's at the point now where there's so much money that one person cannot control their finances. They have to. I've known people that they purchase land somewhere and they don't even realize that they own it because they completely forgotten about it. So, and what you have to do is stabilize and connect the money to something, whether it be gold or population ratio or something. You have to make it tangible. Otherwise, the Federal Reserve, eventually, it's now coming out, it's leaking out everywhere. Everyone's starting to say, well, it's this giant bubble that's going to burst. And of course, when it does, the U.S. government will be like, well, we'll just burn this money, and therefore it'll be all gone. That's their idea. That's where some people are saying, oh, well, yes, there's this much money, but we'll just burn what we get and just delete it from the computer systems, and we'll be all okay.
Well,
so back to the point.
Right.
You're saying
taking money away from people,
right,
and doing a redistribution of wealth.
Right. The redistribution of wealth, because you have this giant bubble of money. To be honest, who could live on $10 billion? Who couldn't? Who couldn't live on $10 billion? I mean, $1 million. I mean, honestly, I mean, if you made the right investments and did what you could to make money with your money, $1 million could set you up for life doing the right decisions, where you didn't have to work at all. But the problem is the 1%ers are actually collecting all the money as, you know, as a status or whatever, just greed, whatever you want to call it. They're collecting all this money, and in my eyes, it's not social. And people are saying that socialism is the way to do it. The way to do it is socialism. Get all that money and redistribute it into the lower sector, and help give people, you know, health care, give people, you know, food stamps, and just, you know, give them what they need so that it can rise up. It doesn't work. I mean, yes, these billionaires, you know, yes, they can afford to, you know, be taxed at 60% and given to these people. It doesn't work that way. They can't. Yes, redistribution of wealth, socialism, that sounds fantastic. But the root of the problem is the money itself, and the way that we make our money, and the way that we have our money. The way it's manufactured in the system is that it's just going to continue to balloon and balloon and balloon and balloon.
Okay. Well, but that's a different subject, right? Because you're looking at that's the very far off view. But what I'm talking about, and sorry, I'll give you a chance. When it comes to the redistribution of wealth, whether Matthew's right and there's a, you know, overreaching problem with inflation and the national debt and the Federal Reserve, what about taking someone's money, and let's not take the super rich. Let's not use a Rothschild or somebody like that, right? That the money literally is dumping into a you know, Scrooge McDuck type vat of money that he can swim in. Let's talk about the person that makes $3 million a year because they started a very successful landscaping business in a popular area and they're doing it right. Right? Let's talk about that guy and the fact that he has to pay 25% versus the guy making $50,000 only has to give up 10%.
He'll be happy to pay 25 under current scenario. What we're saying is, you know, taxing 50%, which is kind of bad. But I agree with Matthew's point there. The way we are printing the money, or, you know, so are we heading to a point where, you know, just like China or Japan, are we going to devalue our own currency and bring it down so, you know, that 1% remains only half the percent, and that's one step towards the socialist view for redistribution, or bringing everybody on, you know, kind of playing level field there. But the issue again, you know, goes back to Matthew's point that the real issue is the money itself, the way it's been valued. I mean, imagine what happened to Greece. They went bankrupt, and in my opinion, it's because they agreed to go with euro. So what was charged as $1 for a burger in Greece currency, now they have to pay a euro, and these companies, they don't change, you know, it's $1 here, $1 there, or €1. So the way they got devalued made them bankrupt. So people were paying more for the everyday operation that they ran out of reserves, which was in local currency. And that's what I think that Greece got bankrupt. Now, the European Union, although, you know, it's based on economy only, but I think the basis is still socialist there. Let's get every country with this new currency now. So that's where I differ from Matthew. Like, you know, the devaluation of the money or even redistribution didn't help Europe. It's not going to help us. The point remains that, you know, how do we bring them together? And that's where I think John is right. people are making money, that they are not printing money. Only one guy can print money, that's the government. But you cannot have everybody with the same offerings. I mean, you could, but only few would succeed who apply themselves, who are hardworking, and there's a different talent ratio. Not everybody is smart to a level where they can do complex mathematics at the same level. So someone's going to succeed. Someone's going to find a way to make money off of it. So the whole idea of socialism would bring current billionaires to their knees, but it's going to make new billionaires. There's no stopping smart guys from making money. So that way, I agree with both of you that it's going to fail, but it's going to create something else which is similar to what we have right now. So saying that current process is broken, what Bernie Sanders does, I feel that's wrong, because the end product of even Bernie's process would be the same as we have today.
But listen, and I'm going to argue with you in one spot, Sagar. It's one of those things where a light bulb goes off, and it's something you said about if the current law really saddles the billionaire with our debt and makes them pay more, and that's just the current billionaire. But there's always going to be smart guys making. And I cannot disagree more, just because of the fact, why in the F would that very smart guy stay in the U.S. if he knows that once he makes money, the U.S. government is going to come and take it away for the purposes of, well, you made too much.
You think they are? They are moving to Singapore and Dubai.
I'm saying that's the problem.
That's
why
why
I'm
you're doing
doing
it. Oh, you're smart.
Right. So I really don't. That's the part of socialism, right? That I really don't understand, and I can't. It goes back to that quote that I played from Christopher Hitchens about the fact that Americans don't want the government getting involved, right? And I know that that's very simplistic, but that's how I roll, right? A deal is a deal is a deal, right? Even on big deals. In my brain, again, I'm not a rich person. I haven't got that great idea. But I have started a number of businesses, and I know how difficult it is. I know what things are in the way. I know that even something as simple as a small business, there's so many hoops that you have to jump through. At one point, I received a letter from the state of Maryland after starting a business that said, it came in 6 months after I started the business, and it said, oh, hey, by the way, we're going to need an extra $300 right over here, right over in this little division department of the taxation dealy, whatever the hell, over here. And, so please reply to this mail to let us know that you owe this, and you'll owe this at the end of the year. So it's one of those things where you're like, what? And, I Google it, and lo and behold, everyone's like, yeah, just ignore it. No one ever pays it. And you're like, this is crazy. So then I go to my tax professional, and they're like, did you send the letter back? And I'm like, well, yeah. And they're like, oh, yeah, then you got to pay it. If you hadn't sent the letter back, they don't got you. They don't got you by the balls. So they can't actually force you because you never replied. And it's like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, how does $300 more coming out of my pocket really? It was so asinine, and it made no sense whatsoever. And it's just like the rain tax and everything else, where the government becomes this oppressive, just juggernaut of bureaucracy and jackholery that puts everyone down, makes things more difficult. Why the hell wouldn't I move away from America and find somewhere else to live where, like, someone says, oh, yeah, you got a good idea? Sure, sign this paper and you have a business. And then it's over, right? So, in Holland and Switzerland, it's just like that. Then you're, and I can't guarantee that it's that easy, but I'm saying there are so many ways that the government has its hand in your pocket that you might as well be walking around with a person with their just hand in your pocket at all times. And this redistribution of wealth makes me sick because everyone sees it as Robin Hood, where like he's taken from the rich and given to the poor, right? But that is a bastardization of what Robin Hood was doing, and the fact that people make it seem like when they did the old switcheroo and Robin Hood was giving back the money, and it wasn't the same thing as stealing from the rich, giving to the poor, right? But that's what they've now laid him out as, and everyone's like, if I don't have it, I should have it. Like what? How?
Okay, now can I just interrupt your rant there because you're saying exactly what I believe in. So my question is for Sagar. What do you believe in as far as socialism? I mean, do you think it's something that we need? Is it something that should happen? And if so, why?
So, as I said, I do not believe in socialism. I believe in the talent and how the society is right now, which is not broken to a point where we need to replace it with socialism. But I do agree with the socialist views in certain areas like healthcare. So I'm not 100% on socialism, but I agree to some of the ideas, and it could be because of lack of my knowledge on the whole topic itself. But at some point, I feel if you're needy and if you need help, you should get help. There shouldn't be any red tape around that just to get the help, or So things like healthcare or basic education, you shouldn't be left behind, and which we already have. I'm not saying we don't have it. So those are the only areas where I believe, in socialism, which many people can call it different things because it's only two subjects there, healthcare and education. But overall, I totally disagree with the socialist view or the socialism, what they want to call it. Redistribution of money, and simple example of that is what government of California is doing, and that they're heading that way. Over a period of time from 96 to 2016, people have been overpaying their tickets, like whether it's a parking ticket or a speeding ticket, to a point where now they have $32 million in excess, or past, whatever, 10 years, 20 years time. People overpaid 30, it could be number like 31 or 21, I don't know. But people overpaid those $20 million, and some jackass in the government is saying, oh, we should, and they put it on their website, if your name pops up here, claim your money back, and it's valid only up to 31st of March. If not, that money goes to the poor people who cannot afford to pay their tickets. That is, in my view, just straight up socialist stupidity, and that's where I don't agree with the views. So I mean,
okay, so my understanding is that all the three of us, have actually said that socialism is stupid and it doesn't work. Okay, so why is it that everyone all of a sudden, is saying yes, socialism, yes, socialism?
I know why. I know why.
Okay.
So
why do you know why?
And I know why, because when I hear Bernie Sanders talk and say something, for instance, this here.
The top 0.1% today owns nearly as much wealth as the bottom 90%. 0.1% owns nearly as much wealth as the bottom 90%. That is not the kind of America that we should accept.
Okay, not the kind of America that we should accept, right? When Sagar said, oh, well, we're going to take the extra funds that you don't claim of this however millions of dollars, and we're going to allow those to pay the tickets for people that can't afford their tickets, and Sagar used the term the poor that cannot afford their tickets, right?
Correct.
Right.
So that pulls at your heartstrings and not your mind strings. And I think that the people that watch television and listen to the radio, listen to shows like this, and they hear that there might be someone who might be destitute, okay, and they think, oh yeah, well that makes sense. If they're poor, they need the money. So we have, that's extra money. Let's give it to the poor people, right? Because that makes sense, and I've got plenty, and somehow you got that money, so give it to the poor people. Not saying, okay, California, we made an error. We made an error, and we're going to put it out there that we made this error, and then here's your money. And you just let it sit there. Right? I mean, California would be more inclined to actually take the money, put it in an account. Everybody who claims it, they get their money out. But then they let this $20 million sit in the bank and just keep on earning interest on it. And what you do is you just put it in that fund that you mark it as it's their money, and you'll just friggin' leave it there. But you earn the interest on it, right? And I mean, that's so stupid that you're like, no, well, we're going to give it to poor people. The poor person, and I don't know who they were, and I'm going to rant again, but the poor person who ran the fucking stoplight, they owe the bill. They ran a stoplight. Driving is a privilege, not a right. And they ran a light, and they get a bill. I get a bill. I got to friggin' pay it. So now they got to pay it. And I'm so sorry you don't have any money, but maybe you shouldn't have broken the law in the friggin' first place. So don't tell me that my money turns into my money. This is a quote. This is a quote. Okay. The fortune of my spirit is not to be blown into coins of brass and flung to the winds as alms for the poor of the spirit. It's not my bad, okay? And it pulls at the heartstrings. I'm sorry that there are poor people, okay? But that does not mean that you tear down people and tell other people that it's their job to sacrifice to help poor people. If I choose to donate money, then that's my choice. Okay? And there are many, many people who are very altruistic. There's a couple I read about not that long ago that all of their money that they have goes to charity. All of it. Except for the most barest necessities that they have. So they're literally giving away something like 70% of their money to charities at all times because they feel that that's their need and that's what they want to do. Well, you know what? You live in America and you can do that. God bless you. Okay? But the rest of the people that work hard and have not made that choice, you cannot steal their money. And that's where I'll end on that.
Okay. So my question again is you're angry. Okay, and just like everyone else in the country, they're angry, either because of their social status, their color, their monetary status. They're angry, and they're looking for a quick fix to everything. So, and that's one of the reasons why I think Trump is so popular, is because they want the quick fix. That's why Hillary is so popular, because she's saying all the right things and all the right people. And saying that this is what's going on. Now, back to Bernie Sanders. I appreciate Bernie Sanders because of his integrity and his belief in the way things should be done and the way he sticks to his beliefs. I love the way he's actually, the way he's voted in Congress. He doesn't back down to anybody who disagrees with him. My problem is that everyone's so angry, they're not thinking about trying to solve the problem. I mean, to me, they are letting their anger and their frustration and their emotions control
wait a minute.
What is happening. No, I mean, this is what's happening. This is what I strongly believe what is happening. They're going back to old ideas. We need a new idea. We need something that will actually change the course of what's going on. And if you don't have that, you're going to continually go through this roller coaster of capitalism, socialism, democracy, federalism, just all this. It'll eventually it'll keep rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. My idea is we need somebody to stand up and say, I have an idea where everything will work out as far as compromising. You're not going to have that now because there's too many people angry. There's too many people that are just, all blacks, Black Lives Matter. They're separating themselves, and they're doing it to themselves. The poor are separating themselves from the rich. The rich are separating themselves from the poor. Middle class is fighting to stay the middle class. So when you have all that stuff going on, I think that's one of the reasons why socialism looks so good. And it's the same reason why socialism looked so good in the French Revolution, and Marx and what's his name, Frederick. That's why it looked so good. But the problem is that none of this stuff works without us coming together as a community and trying to figure out the problem. Now,
it's funny you said that. Sorry, go ahead.
Socialism is bad. Okay? Pure socialism is bad. Pure capitalism is bad. There is a reason why the Constitution of the United States is separated in three parts. One counterbalances the other. And it works, especially in the beginning, worked majestically, where you had different views and opinions coming together and working it out. Now we actually have a problem where they're not even trying to work it out, and they're using the public to advance their agenda so that they can do what they want to do. And that's not the way our founding fathers of the Constitution did it. I mean, they call it the Great Compromise for a reason. They came together and they compromised and figured out a way that would best govern the country, right down to the poorest person, right up to the richest person. They came together to work out the problem. And no one is doing that now. Socialism doesn't work. And we're now seeing the ends of pure capitalism falling apart. So I think we need to have somebody who would actually listen and try and do a compromise that would do checks and balances of all of them. Because, yes, there are people who say that socialism is good and we should do it. Now, and in their viewpoint, the video that I saw, in their viewpoint of the way they see the socialists work, they think that the Constitution is basically a socialistic piece of paper that all the people got together to work out, which kind of makes sense the way he said it. But at the same time, no, it isn't. It's not socialism. It's a contract of governing. It doesn't have the same aspects of socialism as far as the product and the labor and the economic situations. It's basically just a piece of paper that allows the government to govern us and tell us what we can and cannot do. Now, in the same aspect, they say the FDA is a socialist program. Okay. Yes, I like the FDA. I want the FDA because I don't want some idiot putting lead in my kids' toys to make the red brighter. Okay? Or I don't want some idiot to put lead in my milk to make it look more creamier. All these stuff. Yes, the FDA is something that's good and something that we have to pay for. But that doesn't necessarily make it socialism, where this person is just saying that all government type of things are socialist programs. Where are we going to find a person that's actually going to stand up and say, hey, you know what, there's some aspects of this that is good, there's some aspects of this is good, we need to come together and work as a group to fix the problems. I mean, for instance, if you were to look at Social Security, okay? Social Security is a socialist system, pure and simple, because what they're doing is they're taking money from a percentage of your money that you earn on a yearly basis and tell the employer to give a certain amount of money. Together, they would combine it and stick it in the government, and then they can tell you when you can have it. To me, that's the worst way you could do it. If you wanted to protect somebody against themselves, which is ludicrous, but yet at the same time is a need for some people, if you took a percentage of their money and not give it to the government, but yet prevent them from using it as far as putting it in the stock market, okay, rather than giving it to the government, who's obviously going to steal from the coffer to pay for other things, take it out of the government's hand and put it in something legitimate, like stocks, or buying gold, or buying something that will accumulate money as they put money into it. And in the end, you can take out the money at a certain age and do whatever you want with it and take care of yourself during the early years. Take take healthcare, for instance. The main problem with healthcare is the root of everything is the money is overinflated. It's super inflated, and people don't realize how much money there is out there. If you were to say to somebody who is working that if you went into the hospital and needed to do something, say you broke your leg or whatever, that's a tax deduction. Okay, say that that's a tax deduction. You broke your leg, that's a tax deduction. You don't have to pay. We'll actually give you money back out of your taxes. Rather than the United States taking your money and redistributing it to the needy or someone who can't pay it, you tell them that it'll be a tax deduction. Your health care provider will be a tax deduction. And that will actually, create competition for, the hospitals and the doctors and the pharmaceutical companies. They will actually lower their prices for the competition. That's the way it should be handled. I don't hear any of them saying that. None of them. As far as doing a flat tax, we at this point in time, until we actually stop the government producing money just out of willy-nilly to pay for stuff, we cannot do that, because most of the money now is in the super rich. They have the money, and they're continually going to take the money. So once we flatline that, then we can do a flatline tax. And then once we do a flatline tax, then we should give tax breaks as far as somebody who has broken their leg, or somebody who needs medication. Okay? The doctor's going to tell you, you need this medication to live. Okay, that's fair enough. I'm going to still work, but I know that I'm going to get that money back from the government.
Okay.
At the end of the day.
Right. And so, Sagar, I'm going to let you go because Matt, I hate to interrupt, but the only argument I had there was that you're still taking money away from people. So, but go ahead, Sagar.
No, it's so bizarre.
No, I'm not taking money. I'm not taking money away from people.
No,
you have to have a government.
I know you do, but let Sagar go, and then I'll make my full point. Go ahead, Sagar.
No, it's good. It's so bizarre. I was gonna bring up FDA being a socialist program, but Matthew, you got it. And the way I see it, and I see it happening in India and over here too, there are some socialist programs. Now, as you said, I want FDA to be there. So you want that socialist program to be there. It's so bizarre. We like it. We want it. It just depends on which side we are on, and that's when we start liking or disliking it. But simple example of FDA, if I have 38% of real meat in my food, I'm Taco Bell, I'm still allowed to sell it. If I have 42%, I'm McDonald's, and I'm still allowed to sell it. With the socialist program as it is, the other burger companies are fighting to be Taco Bell but just by labeling it better, and that's where we are getting. So going forward, people would fight more to save money and offer you a low-grade product such as Taco Bell, which is like just 2 level above dog food. And that's what socialism could do to you. People don't realize it, but we like it. And before it becomes addiction, we need to stop it right there. But that's my take.
Well, so my take is this, and that is, I come from a stance, and Matthew, you're right, I'm angry, but I come from a stance. I don't think that I'm not thinking about it though, because I think that the way I come from it is from the objectivist view and the rights of man view, and that is, and I'll use this as a for instance because it's a different subject matter, but I think that it makes sense to me, and it kind of goes towards Saagers as well with the meat. So in Ohio, I think it was, they're trying to sue this photographer who won't take photos at gay weddings. Okay, and they want to make it so that they have to take the photos, right? I'm against that. I don't think that they should be forced to take pictures at a gay wedding if they do not wish to, right? Because that's not discrimination if they say no, okay? And it's their choice to do it, because I think that what'll happen in this society, and I don't just think it, I know it, is that company, that business, that person going out and taking pictures, only a small amount of the population will be like, yeah, I'm with you, right? But the rest of them are going to be like, nah, that's kind of stupid. It's just a picture. Just go over there and do it. So they're going to be less and less patronized because they're morons, right? So the capitalistic part of that is going to win out in that situation. Look at, it's sad, but if you look at the restaurant here called Chipotle, they had a really great business model. Everything's going really great. They're on fire, right? They're doing so well. But then they start having some problems with E. coli, and literally their stock is down to nothing. They're having to close restaurants, even though they were literally on fire less than 6 months ago. But they just keep on having these problems with E. coli and and listeria and stuff, and people keep on getting sick, that their business is just going down the shitter. And that's just because they weren't, whether or not one instance was just one-off instance, or if there's an epidemic there of people doing the wrong thing with the food handling or not, the public is going, yeah, I'm not going to eat there right now because it's for crap. Taco Bell. My wife and I decided many years ago not to eat Taco Bell anymore. We literally were like, you know what? There's bad food, and then there's like bad food that you just should not eat, because we always felt like crap after eating it. And so literally we were like, you know what? And we told the kids, we're not eating at Taco Bell anymore, even though there's like 2 in our area that we pass by, and yeah, we want some food, and we could easily stop there. We don't, right? Because it's just, and part of that now, looking back, is the whole problem with their meat, and the fact that it came out that their meat was nothing but literally gristle, all right, and a little bit of food coloring. So I think that, to me, it's the rights of the people should not be stripped away by regulation. Now, the FDA, I agree, is a good thing, right? But it shouldn't be super, super large, where you do something like some of the other things that are going on in government, where it's a carrot stick situation, where you get a grant to do a specific thing, but only if your grade average is high enough will you actually receive that grant of money from the federal government. Because I don't think that the federal government should be the ones doing all of the stuff. It just makes it too large of a thing that constantly tramples. And I think that in the end, to Matthew's point, if you were to turn Social Security into a fund situation, that's still acting as someone's dad and being like, well, you don't know any better, so I'm going to put this money over here, and I'm going to manage it for you. Oh, who's going to manage it? Well, it's going to go into to some investments, and it'll be there when you're ready. Well, I think that that's a stupid idea because whenever
No, wait a second. No, wait. It's to me, it's not a stupid idea, and I'll tell you why. One, it takes away from the government from stealing it from you.
No,
Okay?
no, wait. You made your entire point. You made. I'm saying it's a stupid idea, and you got to give me a moment to say why it's a stupid idea.
No, because you're not listening. You're not listening to why I think. No. If you turn, no, this is turning a profit. Okay, this is giving it to people who, unless they make you money, they won't make any money. But that's the whole point. So it's not like I'm not saying it's like a brokerage firm where they make money no matter what, whatever deal that they do. If they make you money, then yes, they get a little small percentage of it. And at the time, when you look at something, when somebody is only making, $25,000 a year, and they have no real money to actually invest into anything, okay? A small percentage of their wage would go to this coffer, to a brokerage firm that would invest a large pool of money, of everyone's money, to make money. And they don't make money, they don't actually earn a living, these brokers, unless there is money made. That is putting it into professionals' hands, and they know that they are going to either make money or not make money. And if they don't make money, then boom, that's their bad. Okay? So that's my idea. Now you can't have, because not everyone is at the same intelligence level as everybody else. And my idea is that if you had a system where you made money, like $25,000 a year, and you put into this coffer where everyone else did, and the broker who did his very best to make his own money, to make you money, at the end of the day, when you're 65 years old, you can live for the rest of your life and take care of yourself. That's the system that I'm talking about. As far as saying that big government shouldn't come in and tell you to do something. Yes,
from people without asking.
Right, but at the same time, I'm asking somebody. I'm not telling them this is the way they should do it. At this point in time, we have, when Roosevelt did the New Deal, he asked people to vote for him because of this New Deal, and that's how he was elected. Okay. Now I'm asking people to sit. You may not be the smartest spark. And all you do is dig ditches for your entire life. Okay. I'm asking you to, rather than giving it to the government, to give it to somebody who knows what they're doing and knows that if they don't do it right, they're not going to get paid. That's my idea. As far as, as someone who's making, $1 million a year, this is mute because they're already making $1 million a year. They don't need to invest in anything.
And that's the thing. One of the things that they want to do is that now they're saying, and again, I'm coming from the standpoint of a person that I am, but I'm talking about even the rich. If they're told all of a sudden, oh yeah, now you have to pay into Social Security, that's one of the things that's one of the ways they're trying to fix Social Security, because Social Security ultimately is broken because even when it first started, there wasn't enough money in it for the money going out of it, right? So and I get that, but now they're like, oh well, now we have to steal from somebody else, because to your point, the rich don't really need Social Security, but now they're actually going to have to start paying it because it turns out that the system was so jacked up when it was made that it can't even afford itself. So my concern here is that you're giving a great deal of money to people, right? Whether it be a stockbroker or not, you're still taking money away from people, and then putting it towards some system or program. When you know what? I don't want a system or program. I want my money.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough. I'm not saying. See, you're still stuck on the fact that someone's going to come along and take your money without your permission.
I'm not stuck on it. It's wrong.
Well, no, it is. It's wrong. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying it's right at all. What I'm saying is that that Social Security, we need to come together and compromise on what we need to do. No one's doing that. They're all fighting with themselves and sticking to the old ideas of the way things are. and accepting old ideas as the way they are. You can't do that. You yourself I'm a capitalist. You believe that what's yours is yours and should stay yours. And that's right. What you've done for yourself and for your family should be up to you and your discretion. But you need to compromise to the point of somebody else as far as their life, because they're not as smart as you. They're not as good looking as you. They're not. They will be downtrodden by somebody who has no morals or ethics. They will be taken advantage of, and that's why socialism is so bright and shiny to people, and that's why it'll win out over this pendulum going back and forth, because the majority of people are hurting and they want some retribution. I mean, that's the whole point of the French Revolution. That's the way the system is working now. And socialism will come about whether you like it or not, because no one's thinking of something new. No one is trying to compromise. And the old system is crumbling. It's not going to, it won't survive the next 10, 15, 20 years unless something is done. Now, when you say that you want to keep your money, what's yours is yours, and everyone should pay the same amount, that's fine. But what about the person that is digging ditches and doing the very best they possibly can to make a living, but isn't getting anywhere? Because they don't understand how the system works. They don't understand how, what's going on around them, or they don't even have enough money to put 2 cents together to rub together, let alone to feed their family. My thing is that if somebody is making, minimum wage, let's say, what the average minimum wage is what, $8 or something like that. Let's round it up to 10, because 10. Okay, they're making $20,800 a year. Okay, that's not enough to do anything with. And my suggestion is, rather than giving money, because the socialism is going to come in, whether you like it or not. So you need to compromise. My thing is okay, if you're going to take my money, let's do it a way that I would be more comfortable with. I would be more comfortable with, rather than the government having my money, I'd be more comfortable with a stockbroker based on commission of percentage of sales, of making me money. Okay, I'd be more comfortable with that than the government doing it, because you're going to have the bleeding hearts. There's no way around it. So you need to come into a compromise and think of something new. Think of something more tangible for somebody. So for you to sit there and say, okay, I'm making $50,000 a year. Okay, I don't want it to go to the government. That's your standpoint. You don't want it to go to the government, and you're steadfast that mine is mine and yours is yours. But you're going to have the bleeding heart saying socialism, 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 and eventually the pendulum will swing that way, and they're going to take your money anyway. Think of a different way of doing it. Come to the table with something new. Come to the table with something that it's inevitable that the bleeding hearts are going to come along and say, we need money. And the reason why they're saying that is because they want more power to push on their more agenda. But if you came to a reasonable conclusion that, yes, they're going to take money out of me no matter what I do, I've got to come to the table with something new. And that's what I'm saying. You're fighting to me, you're fighting a losing battle. You're angry, and you're saying that, and to me, you're sounding like every other American who is against socialism and don't want it to happen. When eventually, the way the current market is, the way the system is being run, it's going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it, because the 1%ers are the only ones making any money. And that's why Bernie Sanders is so wonderful, because they think that socialism is the way to go. The only way to combat that is to come to them with a different idea. And we're not doing it.
And that's the thing that's more scarier, if you wish, because socialism dictated by the society, in a way, like few years ago, gay thing was like outlawed, bad. A few decades in, it became, okay, acceptable gay. Then it became a law. You can actually get married. With socialism, what's the next step? Everybody has to be gay, So that's the progression of socialism.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, do you see the progression there? First it was outlawed, then it became, there are some people out there. Then it became, I have a friend. Now it's a law. What's next? You gotta
Well,
be
see,
one.
that's the problem.
So,
That's the problem.
That's socialism.
Well, yeah. I mean, oh man, that's to me that's mind blowing, sir. That's absolutely mind blowing. Okay, the majority of people in the United States could care less whether you were gay or lesbian. They could care less. They don't care. I mean, to me, the point, it's not going to hurt me. I mean, it has nothing to do with my life. Why do I care? I mean, why? And that's why it came into effect of, it's okay to become gay, and it's okay to be, marry your gay lover. See, I have no problem with that. I don't care. It doesn't affect my life whatsoever. Okay? It is those people who were stuck on an ideology of their beliefs, and they're thinking that everyone is like them, and if not, they should be ostracized. Okay? When that's not the case, you need to come together and communicate and come to a compromise. Otherwise,
right, but
the pendulum is going to go back and forth.
Right. The problem is that even with Bernie Sanders, okay, and with Hillary Clinton, and with Mark Rubio, and with Ted Cruz, and with the Donald, right? None of them are talking to any of these points whatsoever. Like, we've brought up now a bajillion things, from Sagar saying that everyone needs to be gay, to Matthew saying that the value of the dollar is really just an illusion. So we have all these things that we're talking about, and yet, you still have all of these problems. So I guess the answer is, when we'll wrap it up this way. Socialism apparently is bad, right? In a full way, if you implement it 100%, meaning that per the statement of what it is, right, which is a political and economic theory of organizations that advocates the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the government. We don't want that, right? We don't want everything run by the government. But what we're saying at this point is socialism, kind of bad, but yet we want our FDA, and we also want to come up with a solution to Matthew's point, is where are the solutions that say, okay, Social Security, it's junk. It works because we don't have, it provides that economic stability, quote unquote, so that way that the elderly aren't sitting there and all like elderly and weak and over there and making us not want to look in that corner. They're okay because we've set up money for them, and we can actually like turn around and do our job because we can look in that direction from time to time and be like, okay, cool, they're okay because we got all that money that we saved up and gave them, right? So it works in a sense. But it also works in the other direction where it's poorly run, and Matthew has an idea for that. You have the EPA and the federal education system where you have the whole carrot stick problem, where then they have to come up and figure out where everything's working, and then they got to tax more, and then more people become government workers, and the government gets too damn big. So you have the two sides to the coin, and somewhere to Matthew's point, we need the ideas to meet in the middle. Sagar, do you have any last? Matthew and I have been kind of hogging the airwaves a little bit. Do you have any last?
Yeah, it's awesome. One word on Bernie Sanders. I would vote for him if he makes it a law to sue the gun companies. But that's where I am.
Don't even bring that up, dude. So a little history.
Sorry, there was a bit of communication problem. My delay is a bit hard. What did you say, Sagar? So
Bernie Sanders, and he believes that the right now we don't have a law that says, if you're selling it or if your gun is being misused in horrible shootings that we see these days, we should have the right to sue the gun companies.
Oh God, no, no, stop it, shut
come
up.
on.
That's horrible. That is horrible. That's if I took a brick, bought a brick from somebody, and said, all right, da da da, and then go and bash somebody's head in, no one would buy bricks. No one would sell bricks. That's ridiculous. That's,
true, and
horrible.
And that's where I want to get. No one should sell guns.
You want that?
But
you
if
want
you're
that.
selling AK-47 and whatnot to common people, that's bad, and I should be able to sue that gun company who's selling.
Okay, so what you're saying is I could go ahead and buy a bat, and go around and just pound people to death, and then it's the responsibility of the person who made the bat.
Listen, okay. This is too
Wow.
long. We've already been
Wow.
going almost 2 hours.
Yeah, but that's Bernie.
That's Bernie. Okay. Feel the burn is his tagline. So
Oh my God.
what I'd like to do is I'm going to play a little bit of Donald just to let us out on a high note and have a little bit of laughs. Okay?
It's sad is what it is.
No, it's an opinion that's
It makes
out
me
there.
want to cry. It makes me want to cry that we have these candidates out there that are just all over the place and saying and doing whatever they can to become, top dog.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
And now for some Donald.
I will be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. I tell you, get a no-good traitor, and they get the 5 people that they wanted for years, and those people are now back on the battlefield trying to kill us. But I speak to border guards, and they tell us what we're getting. And it only makes common sense. It only makes common sense.
Oh, Jesus.
Sending us not the right people. It's coming from more than Mexico. It's coming from all over South and Latin America, and it's coming probably from the Middle East. But we don't know, because we have no protection. Islamic terrorism is eating up large portions of the Middle East. They become rich.
All right. So I'll try and find some better quotes than that. But that's the Donald, and that was Bernie. That was our Bernie Sanders conversation. Sagar, what were you gonna say?
I was just saying, great job with the clips.
Thank
This
you.
is the first time we did that. Awesome.
That's right. The first
I
time with
liked it.
clips.
Oh, I'm privileged. You've done something for a first time, and I'm invited to it. That's great.
Yeah, it's been good. Right? The clips
No.
are fun. Clips are fun.
Yeah, clips are fun. Yeah, clips are very fun.
Clips
They
are
make me
fun.
want to cry, but they're still fun.
I still have to get the let's see if I can get it real quick. The eagle cry. I love that because it's America, America. Anyway, Sagar, thank you so much. Matthew, thank you so much for both of you for being here. I really appreciate you both joining. I would give everyone a chance to say something else, but we're running so long that it's been crazy. I know that we all have more to say on this subject.
I thought this was my least favorite topic, socialist and Bernie, but it turned out we have the longest conversation on this episode here. Well, it's episode 10, but again, thank you.
You got it.
Yes, thank you very much. And I think we should probably find another discussion that that isn't so generalized.
We need to get guns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Talk about guns. That would be great. Because America does love its guns. That's for sure.
America runs on Dunkins, not on guns. So no more guns.
It runs on what?
Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, America runs on Dunkin'. That's pretty good. I like that. America runs on Dunkin'. All right, guys. Well, you guys have a good rest of the week. We will see everyone next time. Be sure to check us out on every2weeks.net. Be sure to check us out on the Facebooks and on the Google Pluses. Be sure to comment if you want to leave a comment. Hopefully next week I'll have some more awesome sauce and clips.
And good luck with the consignment sale, man.
Thank you, Sagar. I appreciate that. That's coming up. That's gonna be a big deal. I'm gonna be very tired, but yeah. Thank you, Sagar. Appreciate that. All right, it's gonna be good. All right, guys. We'll talk to you next time.
Every 2 weeks.
I'm trying to hit the stop record button. I can't find it. In all my open windows, it's gone. There we go. Pardon the technical difficulties.